Okay, everyone, this video is going to be an introduction to dbClustal, but in order to get there, we first need to do a blast search. And the best way to enter into dbClustal, because it's an EMBL EBI database, is through the WooBlast site. And in order to do that, I'm going to open up this sequence file here. I have some myoglobin sequences already in FASTA format. So I'm going to copy these and I'm going to minimize this. And in the WooBlast database down here on step 2, you see that you can input your protein sequence down here. I'll make this a little bit bigger so you can see better. So you click in here, and I'm just going to paste my sequence in here, and I'm going to leave the protein databases the same. I'm just going to leave it at Uniprot knowledge base. You could choose a bunch of these other ones if you want to. Then if you continue to scroll down the screen, you can choose your program. If just to look at this drop down menu, you can choose BLAST-P or BLAST-X. We're going to stay with BLAST-P. You can also change some of the parameters for the actual search. You can change the matrix. There's a whole variety here, and I'm just going to keep it on the default. You can also change the number of scores that you see. 50 is the default. You can change the threshold, and you can change the number of alignments that you see, and there's a few other ones here that you can change if you want to play around with it. And the alignment views, you can either view them as a pairwise alignment or the BLAST XML format, and I'm going to leave it at pairwise for now. Now you can also click this box right here if you want a notification by email, but this alignment won't take too long, so I'm just going to hit the submit button, and you'll see this dialog box here asking you to wait, and it's validating the input, and it'll next give you a window. It says your job is currently running, and it'll give you a job ID number also, and this is what you would want to use if you go back to your results. And this should be up in a minute, or well, not even a minute. Should be fairly quick. And there's also other links down here at the bottom that you can look into if you're interested. These are all EMBL EBI sites. And EMBL does have a good bit of training options here. But it also gives you research, an overview, publications. And another thing about this job ID, you can access these results for 7 days, so they will keep the results. Okay, and here we go. Alright, these are results. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see there's a whole list of items here that were aligned, and you have a bunch of tabs at the top here. I'll zoom in a little bit for these so you can see these. So what we're looking at now is a summary table of your results, and it gives you the sequences that have been aligned, and it gives you a bunch of information about the source, and you can get more information from each and every one of these protein sequences that it has pulled out. What we're going to look at now is the tool output. If we click on that link, we're going to get a list of all the sequences that have been aligned through the BLAST-P program. You can see these sequences down here. It has the scores and your probability numbers. So what we're going to do now, because the main objective of this video is to get into dbClustal, is to send this BLAST report to dbClustal. So if you click on this link here, it'll send the ID, which I pointed out before, to dbClustal. And this is basically going to do a multiple sequence alignment with the proteins that were just aligned with the BLAST-P. So you go down here to output format, and we can look at it in several formats. One is Clustal W. You can see the other ones here. The bottom one is FASTA. I'm going to leave it at Clustal W and submit, and this shouldn't take too long either. So what this is going to do, it's going to create your multiple sequence alignment. So this is just another way to create a multiple sequence alignment, along with the Clustal Omega and the T-Coffee that we've talked about also. So if you look at this alignment, you should see all these sequences. And the original sequence was up here that I put into the BLAST-P, and the rest of these are myoglobin sequences also. And you can see your typical alignment codes down here. The asterisk means that they're completely aligned, and then you have some spots where there's no alignment and everything in between. So that's the sequence alignment. Now if you want to look at the phylogenetic tree, you can also do that, and you can click on either guide tree or phylogenetic tree. I'll click on guide tree, and this gives you the parameters of the guide tree. And if you scroll down, and this is just a thing for the JAL view to show up. I'll go ahead and say run to that. And looks like something's going wacky up here at the top. But it does give you, this is the phylogram. So if we look at this, you can see each of the sequences that were input into here, and it gives you the phylogram, and you can see how the sequence is related. And if you want, you can also show this as a cladogram tree, and let's see if this works. This should show you the same tree but in a different format. You can see the different format here. The sequences are all lined up on the right side now. Alright, and then if we scroll back up, let's see what other options are up here. Okay, so the last thing is probably one of the things that you might want to look at are the submission details. This gives you the number of sequences that are aligned, you know, the date that it was done, the version of the dbClustal program, and if you want to go look at the actual sequences, you can click on this link for input sequences, and you can click on this link for your output results, and it also gives you some parameters, your input parameters. So that's basically how you make an alignment through dbClustal, and it's very similar to the other ones that we've looked at. Like I said, Clustal Omega and T-Coffee. It's just a different way to get to the alignment, but the thing with dbClustal is that you have a BLAST-P alignment to begin with, so you're not using your own sequences, you're using the sequences that BLAST-P aligns for you. Okay, I hope that's been helpful.